TradingNut, episode 69.
And then that yes turns into I'm okay as a person. I'm valuable. I'm smart. I can do this. And then when the market shifts, all of a sudden, not only does their system break down, but their identity and all their belief in this process that they develop breaks down.
The market's going to do something. Your job is not to fight it.
The market never, ever runs away. It's always there.
That personal diary of trading will make you a much better trader than...
I could be right about the direction, but wrong about the trade.
Don't focus on the monetary side.
Trying to make too much money on a trade is what I have seen killed every trader.
Your losses offer you some of the greatest insight you can find into your mistakes.
Relax, learn the process.
Candlestick pattern trading is a freaking trap.
Don't be in a rush to become a millionaire.
Let the market tell you what the market wants to tell you.
This podcast is not financial, trading, or investing advice of any kind. What's up, traders? Welcome to another installment of the TradingNut podcast. I'm your host, Cam Hawkins, and today we're in Coronavirus Central. Sound effects not included. That's my daughter sneezing in the background. We're in lockdown here, and we've got a show for you today with Rich Friesen, who you might remember was on the show a while ago. He's come in to talk about extreme events and how this time of our lives is definitely an extreme event in the markets, and we're going to go into detail around not just the events themselves, but more the psychology around it. And I've got to say, there's like 3 massive takeaways that you guys can pick up in this episode. I've just heard that takeaways are closed in the background. Somebody, my wife's yelling out there. Takeaways are closed, but there's 3 massive takeaways. So instead of having those takeaways, have these takeaways in the show, and we've recorded a video as well, so there's a 4th one that you can pick up on the YouTube channel afterwards. So guys, check that out after you listen to this. Now, you're probably not on your commute, you're probably working from home, so you're listening to this at home, and I'm guessing you've got a whole lot of extra time whilst you are waiting for these lockdowns to end. Mine is about to start. It was sort of halfway there, but it's about to start tomorrow or tonight at midnight, and everything goes into sort of, we call it level 4 here in New Zealand, and you're going to hear a few funny things in the show later on about why we're at level 4 and how it's slightly different from the rest of the world. But if you guys are there at home thinking, oh man, I've got all this time, the markets are sort of ticking along here, is there something I can do to skill myself up on? Well, look, I have got the Robot Builders Club, which you could spend this time skilling yourself up and learning to build trading robots without having to code. And what I'm going to do, because it is a trying time, is if you message me and want in, I'll give you a special deal that will hopefully be something that's not going to cripple you for the over the course of this period where some of you may be out of work. Who knows? Okay, so guys, that's the Robot Builders Club. So you might want to go and check it out. It's over there on TradingNut.com under robots. And look, it's a fantastic little program. 21 days. If you've got time constraints and you can't do the 21 days, then what I'll do is I will, how do we say this? I'll fast forward you. So if your lockdown's less than 21 days and you can show me that, then I'll give you access to it quicker than the 21 days. Okay. All right, guys, let's get on with the show here. It's a fantastic little show, as I said, and there's a full-on video of this show, so we recorded this in video format as well. So if you do want to watch us talk it through, then head over there to the YouTube channel and you're going to see the hand motions and head movements as well, which is probably worthwhile doing, especially if you've got time on your hands, as most of us around the world have this week. All right, guys, here we go. Let's get on with it. Rich Friesen. Right, folks, we've got Rick Friesen here, back on the show. If this sort of view looks familiar to you, it's because we had him on here not so long ago. It was probably about 6 months ago or so, Rich. And, sorry, I called you Rick, didn't I?
Rick, Rich, Dick, Richard, just call me for dinner and we're good.
Yeah. So we had him on the show a while ago where he walked through and did a trading, let's call it a trading sort of mindset session with me, worthwhile going and having a look at, because it's probably the most commented video I've had where people have come back to me, and I'm sure they must have come back to you as well, Rich, and said, look, this is really thanks for opening up. Thanks for showing me what it sort of takes to, I suppose, enact a mindset shift in somebody who's a struggling trader. And look, I myself haven't watched it again. I can't watch it. It irks me to watch it. I sort of know what I said.
Stop. Can I stop you right there?
Yeah,
Cam?
go for it.
You said it irks you. What? And by the way, just a number of my own clients have talked about that video and how much it's meant to them in terms of seeing your openness, your honesty, and the movement that you made, and that it was really a good role model for them. So thank you.
Oh, look, that's brilliant. Yeah, it does. It does.
You say it irks. So what is the irk?
Oh, it's just, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to know how much I opened up. That's what I don't want to know.
Okay.
I assume from the comments that I didn't open up like dramatically, so I just don't want to know and go, oh, did I really say that? But I sort of know what I said in the back of my mind, so I don't really need to go back and have a look at it again. But look, I might one day. Who knows?
Okay, I just what you're bringing up is so important. Is that as we become more aware, as we open up, our survival mechanism goes, no. But in fact, it's an inspiration for others, and it's a relief to ourselves. So one of the things we do with my clients and at the Mind Muscles Academy is first awareness, real-time awareness of what's going on physically, emotionally, in terms of our thinking process, and then accepting it. I started a free group this morning of my traders and anybody else that wants to join. And everyone talked about what their concerns were and where they wanted to be in a week. And just looking at where they wanted to be and what they desired and starting to visualize that just made a difference. By the end of the group, everybody was feeling better. So, awareness, acceptance of what is going on, and then saying, okay, now what do I want? What a wonderful process, and I invite everyone to do that.
Yeah, look, and I suppose today we're if you're watching this in the future, we are in the midst of COVID-19, the coronavirus outbreak, and I've just told Rich before that I'm in lockdown here in New Zealand. And he had a bit of a chuckle when I said that there's 150 cases in the country, and with the entire country is in lockdown. But I mean, they're doing it to obviously stop the spread. And I saw a poll this morning that everyone seems to be for the fact that we're already in lockdown and to stop it in its tracks. And look, we are 3 hours from the next country, which is quite a unique thing in this world. So unless you're flying in, you ain't coming here. Whereas I know everyone else is in a bit of a predicament with their borders next to other countries and so on and so forth. So, look, today we're gonna talk about not just lockdown and coronavirus, the markets, but how that sort of relates to, I suppose, as a whole, extreme events. So I know you've done a few different things with a lot of the traders that you've got out there. Well, actually, before we start, let's just do a little recap for us of what you do, so the guys who haven't seen you before, haven't seen the other video, know exactly what you do.
Yeah, I work with traders who want to expand their mental game. And, there's people who think, well, psychology of trading is around 25%. Those are the guys who are more technically oriented and have algorithmic systems, to people who believe that trading is 100% of our mindset. So I work with traders who want to expand their mindset, and I do that with private coaching, with online courses, with group work, exercises, simulations. My methodology is that the real change comes with real-time experiences. So I put a lot of traders through guided visualizations. I step them back through their experiences. And just like earlier, you said you were a little irked with yourself. So right away, my little antenna goes up and says, okay, irked. What's that like right now? What's going on with Cam right in this moment? Because it's only in the moment that we can make a difference. And that's where my invitation to my clients always is. Let's step into the moment. Let's be aware of what's going on and then accept it. And, you brought up extreme events, and that's an area that I'm fascinated by and have been for a long time. And so this is an appropriate time to talk about that.
Oh yeah, it is indeed. Indeed. So, I know you work with a lot of traders out there and help them, and these guys are sort of either trading, significant amounts of capital, and these massive shifts in the market are perhaps something they haven't seen or witnessed, especially in their sort of time as a trader, unless they've been around for a long, long time. How do you sort of start off a conversation with these guys to I suppose work out, can you categorize them into certain types of emotional states?
Oh yeah. We'll start at the bottom is the traders who have a particular system. They're locked into it. They're holding on to that system for dear life, and they believe if they create that perfect system, if they just tweak that, if I just add this little indicator, if I do this, and they're getting it down, they're refining it, the market's in a certain pattern. And as long as their system and the pattern match, yes. And then that yes turns into I'm okay as a person. I'm valuable. I'm smart. I can do this. And then when the market shifts, all of a sudden, not only does their system break down, but their identity and all their belief in this process that they develop breaks down. And then we see panic. And in some of my traders, I've seen big losses, and then they try to make it back. And then they're, the fills, the whole, everything has changed so much that they then start reacting just from emotional needs. And so the whole thing breaks down. And I've had a couple of traders who've come to me and said, I've lost my account. And that is, it's that they have so focused on the outside of what is going on and trying to match a system to that when that breaks down, there's nothing on the inside. There's no resilience. There's no core. There's no awareness, and everything falls apart. And as a result, that has become very expensive for some traders.
Yeah, because look, it's as simple as, I noticed it last week, the spread's getting much bigger, and then heard, saw in my chat last night before I went to bed, like somebody had said that gold had spiked to 130 in like a split second from, then it was back down to 20, where I think normal range is maybe 5. So it's like ridiculous. And that was an announcement from the Chinese government around something or other. I can't remember what it was, but it was the first time it had been that low or that different ever. And so there was this massive spike. And that's going to blow anyone's system out of the water, right? Nobody's going to survive that if they haven't accounted for it, which they probably haven't, because it's a once in a lifetime event. Have you had guys come through who are like struggling with these sort of, let's call it a black swan event that lasted for a split second? It was a split second would have wiped everyone's stops out, and then it's done. And it's gone, versus something that's, possibly going to last for at least a couple of minutes or 5, 10, 20 minutes or something. Mm-hmm. And how that's possibly affects somebody going forward.
Yeah, well, the other end, I gave you one end of the extreme, that I have a fixed mindset, I have a fixed strategy, and then when the world shifts, I'm lost. The other end of the extreme is I have traders in a mastermind group. And these traders have been working with me for 2-3 years. And for them, they're able to be with the markets. They're seeing what it is. And every one of them is doing quite well. But this is a very shift from a fixed structure to, okay, this is brand new. I'm okay with this brand new. I can watch it. I can wait. I know where my mindset is. I notice when I'm going into fear or greed. I take a breath. I step back. Okay, here's an opportunity. Here's my risk. And I can play the game. What did I learn? But there's a flexibility there, and there is almost a joy. I have to even say one of my traders corrected me yesterday. One of the biggest traders I have who trades really size, I talked to him. And I said, how did it go today? He says, oh, I was stopped out this morning for the day. And what he means is he has a certain loss limit for the day. And that he had made a couple trades and he got stopped out for the day. And I says, oh, bummer. And he said, no. He says, it's okay. It's okay. And I realized that I had fallen into the trap of saying, oh, I want you to do well. But for him, he had gotten to the place where he knew the game he was playing and the results were okay. And it didn't impact his confidence or who he was, because he was playing the game. He knew that was, he had the rules to stop him out. And overall, he's been doing very well. But I fell into the trap of an emotional reaction for him when, in fact, he had taken everything we've been working on and actually incorporating it.
That is fantastic. And look, it's interesting that you bring up that example, because I suppose a lot of people would struggle with that particular aspect, whereby it's like, I've got a limit and it might be hit on the first trade and I'm out, I'm done for the day, I have to walk away, with the thinking that they haven't got, I suppose, the confidence that, is tomorrow going to be any different? What if I get stopped out tomorrow, first trade, and I'm done for the day? What if it happens again? What if it happens a fourth time?
Boy, what you're saying is so important, is that mind game that starts again. And when you start playing that mind game, you get a neurochemical shift in your brain. Thank you for pointing that out.
So you get a shift in your brain. What is that neurochemical shift? What do you mean by that?
Well, we have different neurochemicals that react in different situations. For example, there's a book called The Hour Between Dog and Wolf. And they actually took blood samples of institutional traders. And so they knew how well they were doing, how well they were trading, when they were in a downward spike. And they were able to correlate that with chemicals in their brain. Now, I don't remember all the specifics, but there's cortisol that is when we're in a downward spiral. And there's other neurochemicals that create hubris and ego and I'm the king of the world. And those correlated. And the thing is, when we get the negative, when we create the thoughts and have the physical sensations, just like you outlined so well, and we get negative neurochemicals in our brain, then it becomes very difficult to shake that off.
Okay. And it's so very difficult to shake it off. I mean, how does that work? How do you sort of at least start to shake that off?
Okay, so I'll give a personal example, is that there are certain triggers that I have, I'm not talking financially, but personally, that bring me back to a very old experience. And I can trace it back now to 5 and 6 years old. And that I've created a world as a 5 and 6 year old that is very unpleasant. But it's a world I know how to survive. So I've carried this world with me. And if the world doesn't provide that particular set of parameters, I create them. And just the other day, I noticed something was said to me by somebody very close. And I started going down the spiral. And it went back. It's a very old experience. And I was aware of it while it was going on. I said, this is fascinating. Whoa, Rich is going down to a very, very old place. So the difference is between going down and feeling it real and going down and being aware of it as a old pattern of behavior that no longer serves me. But it's amazing that those old patterns, how powerful they are. And even with awareness, we sometimes, and I will raise my hand here, still need to go through that cycle.
Okay. And I mean, I've heard of things like using anchors to try and get yourself into a state or get yourself out of a state. Is that something you sort of recommend? As I'm sort of thinking of like in the here and now with traders who are, they're either feeling an emotional sort of shift in their body, and at least they can go, okay, great, now I can feel that is happening. I need to do this to either get me out of it, or I need to do something physical to move from this situation where things aren't going well to something that's going to benefit me, because I know I'm sort of starting to go down that spiral, and if I do, the end result is usually a number of losing trades or another blown account or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do something really radical that I don't know any other coach or therapist does. Rather than saying, oh, I can't go there, and we create a struggle. Okay, I'm not going to go there. I need to do something different. I need to breathe. I need to create an NLP, kind of an anchor around it. I say, okay, you're aware of it? Great. Let's accept it and let's go with it. So depending on the situation, for example, I'll have a client pick a corner in their house, some place they normally don't go or stand in, and just go for it. Just whatever those negative thoughts are, whatever that physiology is, you exaggerate it. You make it really intense. You make it bad. I'm never going to be a trader. I've lost everything. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Oh my God, the life is ending. It's terrible. It's just awful. And then you give yourself a minute or 2 minutes, depending on the situation, or 5 minutes to really go for it. Then you take a breath and you step out of the corner. Now, if you feel that start to come in, you only experience those negative experiences in that corner. You right away go to the corner. Now, what we've done, and this is what I think is the powerful part of this exercise, is you increase your awareness immediately when it starts to go on. You then exaggerate it, which means you know how to create it. Because, there's certain thoughts I can think. I could right now bring myself to tears by having certain thoughts. I know what they are. I know how to make myself go down that spiral. So what we're doing is we're learning how we go down that spiral. And that is so important. Here's the steps that Rich Friesen uses to go down a spiral. 1, I think this thought. 2, then I think that thought. Then I remember this event. Then I remember that event. Then I think this thought. And it triggers this old pattern of behavior. And soon my neurology is just zooming right down. So learning the process of how I do that is really valuable. Then what I do is tell a client, okay, when you're done, when you're absolutely just said, fuck, I'm sorry.
That's right. We can keep that in or take it out. It's up to you.
I don't care. You say, darn it. I'm really done with this. Then you step out of the corner and then go back. So what we've done is, rather than having this thing just niggling and constantly there and trying not to do it, we fully step into it. We learn how to do it. Then we learn how to step out of it. And when a client, we do that, let's say we're in private coaching session and we step out of it, then I say something like, wow, do you know what you just did? And they'll go, huh? Do you know what you just did? You created that downward spiral. You created that mindset that is not helpful. You did it on purpose. You know how to do it. And now you have stepped out of it purposefully and you know how to do it. And what my clients experience is they'll go in for 10 minutes, next time 5 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 2 minutes. And finally, they'll be able to do the exercise in their head sitting in their desk. Okay, I'm going to spiral down. I'm going to think of thought. Oh, okay, I'm tired of this. Boom, and here I am.
Brilliant. Look, that in itself is just absolute gold. I mean, probably don't do it during the lockdown with your family in the house. It might be a little bit weird for them, but when they're in the bedrooms, you can have a crack at it, I think. But I'm definitely going to give it a go. Maybe warn them beforehand.
Hi, honey. I'm going to go into a downward spiral for a moment. Please ignore that crazy man standing in the corner, drooling in his mouth and yelling and screaming. And the kids, just tell him, don't worry about it.
The kids probably won't even flinch. They'll just be like, okay.
Yeah. Daddy's going to go into a downward spiral now, kids.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
Yeah. I might have to put a tent up in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
Look, that's brilliant. So, what about? I suppose if we step back into, we know we're in sort of uncertain times at the moment, and we don't know how long it's going to go on for. And who knows? It could go on for 6 months. It could go on for 12 months. We don't really know. So this could become the norm. It's a little bit late if you're watching this to prepare, but I mean, how would somebody now sort of start going, okay, well, look, if this, I'm going to have to prepare for this potentially in the future at some point in time. If this ever happens again, I may as well start preparing for it now because it's at the start. How do you prepare to go into this, to these sort of extreme events, and say that you're in a better spot than, I suppose, where you were, this time a month ago?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've always been fascinated by extreme events. In fact, I wrote a blog in 2000. I just looked and noticed the original writing was 2011. And I'm very excited about how our mindset, there's an apocryphal story in a movie called What the Bleep. It's one of those transformational woo-woo movies. And in it, they say that the Indians, when the Spanish Armada first came to America, that they could not see the ships because there's nothing in their mind to prepare them for that. In other words, there was no landing place for that. And so as a result, it took them a long time to even see the ships. Now, that's got to be apocryphal because how would they know? But it's a great metaphor for how we can't see things that are right in front of us because we're not used to seeing them. Our survival mechanism just blocks them out. Because let's say, for example, you say, okay, the United States is going to go into lockdown for 3 months. Well, then you have to make all sorts of decisions. You have to take risks. You have to do things you normally haven't done. And so the brain just wants to shut down. So I have a process. I have some charts and everything, but I can describe it. And that is where a bunch of us get together and we each play a different role. Somebody plays the bond market, somebody plays the large corporations, somebody plays the average person, and we have all these different parts of our economy and we're playing the game. And then I drop something in like, 3-month lockdown. How do you react? And then everybody reacts. But what happens is everybody else is reacting to them reacting. So we get this complex adaptive system, and then we record the results. And then we see, okay, in like a Monte Carlo simulation, okay, this time we had this path. And then we take another path, and we go through it again and again. The point is not to predict the future because that's, as you well know, that's kind of challenging. But what we do is we prepare our brains for multiple scenarios. And then what we say is, okay, here is a number of scenarios. What are the tells? Are you familiar with the term poker tells?
Yeah.
So those are the slight, really kind of, nuanced kind of indicators that something is going on. So early on, what would be the tells, like say for a pandemic, and when as it gets worse and things mount up and there's more and more evidence. So at each point, what do you do? What activity do you make? Well, let's say at the first thing, what I did is I sent my wife to Costco, and we loaded it up on the basics. A long time ago, I have created a significant portfolio in precious metals that I hold myself. There's a lot of things I've done a long time ago to prepare for an extreme event. And these are fairly low cost things. And as you get more information that this is going to happen, more information, then what you do is slightly more costly things, but low risk. I mean, it doesn't hurt us to have a pantry full of food. It doesn't hurt us to have extra water. All those things. Yeah. So, but what it does is it moves our mind from, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then once it's our brains are interesting. Like if we miss those first two steps, then we feel like an idiot coming in late and we don't do anything. So preparing our brain for multiple activities at each set. So if we practice this in the game that I've designed, then our brains get used to actually doing something and moving from our survival mechanism locking us down to actually taking steps along the way that are fairly low risk early on. As things move on, then we can take higher risk, more costly steps. But those early on steps also give us a mindset of preparation and control, because so many people are out of control and they don't know what to do because they haven't thought about it. But if you've taken some early steps, it allows you to think more creatively. And that is where the real power is, to step out of fear and into creativity.
Yeah, I like that. And it is so true. I mean, you do start to feel. I mean, I took some steps, before this thing happened. You do start to feel a lot more confident that I've prepared for it. I've done something different, something that probably most people aren't doing, and you just feel like you're in a better place, even though the world might be stopping, which it has. You do feel that you've got that sort of, I suppose, psychological upper hand.
Yes.
Yeah, which is key. Okay, cool. And what about, I suppose, on the flip side, the guys that start stressing about this and, dealing with the stress that comes with these, massive changes in everything, particularly people that are potentially, they've got their retirement savings locked up in these big indices, and they're seeing them just tank, and they might have, been sort of on the cusp of 55, 60 and thinking, here we go, all of my money's in there, the growth's been great over the last 10 years, and now I've just lost it all. I mean, what about the stress that sort of comes with that, and how people can potentially deal with that going forward?
What the word you said, I just lost it all. I want you, in fact, anybody who's viewing this, this is where I go again. Rather than fighting these things, let's experience them. So, Kim, I want you to say, I've lost it all. And I want everyone watching to say, I've lost it all.
I've lost it all.
Notice your posture. Yeah, I've lost it all. Notice right away I'm feeling really sad.
Yeah.
My head's going down. My shoulders are going forward. I've lost it all. Oh, God, I've lost it all. What am I going to do? How powerful that is.
Yeah.
Just in doing that myself, even artificially, I just notice a rush to my stomach, acid in my stomach. Although I can't feel it right now, I am sure my neurochemicals in my brain has changed. So what you're saying is you're saying, what can you do? And what we come back to is what I call the golden keys, is first awareness. I've lost it all. Again, rather than fighting it, be aware of it, go down the spiral, experience it fully, and when you're done, and say, okay, come back. Now we're back. We say, what do I have? What assets do I have? What creativity do I have? This is the most interesting game I have ever played. And most people are frozen. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity. When I had a trading firm on the floor, the most money we made was post-crisis. Like I think of the crashes, 87, 89. We lost maybe 10, 15% of our capital in the first day, 2 days. And then I brought everybody again and said, okay, guys, this is the best time because all the algorithmic traders are shook out. All the people who have normal patterns who keep things tight. We're going to have the emotional swings from one side to the other as we see in the markets now. How can we take advantage of this? And let's start to think creatively. Then as soon as we step into that mindset, our brain chemistry begins to change and we start to think of solutions. So that's what I'm inviting everybody to do. We can go, I lost it all. It's gone. And all the neurochemicals that will last in our body for a long time. And let's experience that and say, it's okay for me to experience this. I'm going to accept it. And now, what do I want instead? What mindset do I want? And learning to go step from one to the other and doing it intentionally can change your life. It can change your life because normally we look at this becomes real. When I go down sometimes, it feels like concrete and rebar. I mean, there is no doubt this is not just a state of mind or riches. This is reality out there. And I know it and I'm sure of it. It's awful. But when we can go to that and say, okay, this is my neurochemical reaction, this is my state of mind, okay, I'm done with it, and now I can move to another. And having the ability to do that intentionally is wonderful.
Guys, if you didn't do the little sort of task there of thinking that you've lost it all, please do it, because I mean, look, I just did it quickly, and even I was the same, Rich. I felt that sort of funny feeling in the stomach. My body started stressing up, and it is, you know, if you can control that, it's powerful. And then I think,
okay, can I just stop you for a minute? Control that. Can I invite you to an alternative thing? If I can experience it and be okay with it.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's probably a quote we should be putting up on the show notes there, because it is very good if you can experience it and be okay with it. So we don't forget this quote. It is brilliant. Now look, this is fantastic stuff. I think there was one more thing we were going to talk about, which was changing direction or decisions. Was that something we were going to talk about?
Changing
direction. A change in decision. A change in your decision. No?
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
But again,
I made a note down here, and I couldn't...
Okay. But, you know, again, it comes to the decisions we make are a rationalization of our whole complex experience. We think we make a decision, but that is just on the surface of everything else. So, again, awareness of that everything else, acceptance of it, and then intentionally creating the decisions that work better for us. So maybe that's where it was.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I do think that, well, I do know that what you're saying around, you know, just being creative about things, and I'm seeing it sort of just even in the local, the local landscape here of guys that I know who run businesses and that. There are people that are out there, you know, being creative around, you know, they've got assets, they've got things that they can, or people they can leverage who are now out of work and they can't do anything for the next month. Instead of just going, oh, okay, well, we're screwed. They're like saying, look, I've got a team of people here who can do X, Y, Z, and potentially if I can find somebody, you know, who needs that extra resource because there's more people calling up call centers or whatever it is, and I've got a whole bunch of people on the phones who can answer calls and with a bit of training can probably, you know, help do their overflow. They can then survive this and come out the other end and better off. So I think that being creative is and giving your mind the freedom to be creative is very, very powerful, and especially in these sort of times. So look, Rich, is there anything else you wanted to leave us with? Anywhere the guys can go to find out more? I think what you've shared today has been absolutely outstanding. And anyone who's a trader or even just a human in these times is going to get benefit from this. Is there anywhere or anything that people can go to find out more from you?
Sure. You can send me an email, rich@mindmuscles.com, or you can go to the website. I think we have a daily now at 9 o'clock or at 12 noon Eastern time that I just have a drop-in group. Let me just check to see if there's a sign up in the sheet. There's not there. So I will. So anyway, just send me an email, rich@mindmuscles.com, and I'll send you the link to sign up for the free just drop-in group. And we just have conversations just like you and I, Cam, had this morning. And people do some work. We look at concerns. We create a community. So I'm just happy to make that contribution. Also, if you're interested in an extreme events group where we're playing a game, send me an email. And I just love to connect. I love people to do well. My heart goes out to everybody, and I just want to share what I can, and I want you to be able to share what you can. And what you said, Cam, is so important for the people who say, what do I have? How can I contribute? And it just touches me deeply. So thank you.
Brilliant. Look, the other thing you might want to do after this is head back and have a look at the session that we ran. I don't know when it was. It would have been last winter for me, so it was probably a year ago now. And and just see how Rich operates there. And you can see me sort of with my eyes closed under some sort of hypnotic state, which is quite interesting. So, folks, until next time, thank you very much again, Rich, for coming on the show. And I wish everyone a great trading week in these choppy markets. And I'll see you on the other side.
Okay. Take care, Cam, and thank you.
Well, folks, there you have it. Some wicked takeaways in there. Worthwhile going back and listening to them and doing at least some of them and seeing how they work and seeing if they change the way that you approach the markets or just in general the way you live your life. So, guys, we also recorded a video. Don't forget that we recorded a video with another tip. Now, this tip is fantastic if you want to try and catch yourself whilst you are maybe, I suppose, doing the wrong things or thinking the wrong things. If you want to catch yourself and stop yourself from doing them again, then Rich has given us a great little technique that you can see on the YouTube channel there. Head over to TradingNut.com. There'll be the video on the show notes page. And don't forget, if you are interested in learning something new during this time, instead of just frittering it away watching Netflix, then head over there to TradingNut.com, look for robots, and you'll find the Robot Builders Club, where there's a 21-day course that I teach, and I teach you how to build trading robots. And I'm literally talking, you can do anything you want, literally anything with a robot, and you're going to learn how to do that in just 21 days. All right, folks, message me if you want a special deal, because we are in this coronavirus time, and I will sort something out for you. Okay, guys, all right, see you then.